Let's party!
In the world's wildest water park, the party has never been hotter.
Tell me you did not replace our old lifeguards with strippers.
Water certified strippers.
And the guests have never been hungrier.
Mommy, I got bit. It was a piranha.
It was not a piranha.
I'm going to totally avoid the sort of things that Corey would start with, like, this movie has teeth, or do you smell something fishy in there? Because there's nothing funny about Piranha 3DD, and no reason to make a comment.
You're absolutely right. I mean, if you ever wanted to see something like shit in 3D,
yeah,
this is that fucking movie. Because this is the movie I've been hinting at, and several things I've recorded recently, to where, you know, even with the Chernobyl Diaries, where you guys are like, man, this is bad. I'm like, you guys have not seen bad. I mean, it's like, I'm sorry, you know, you guys saw that car wreck over there, but I witnessed something that was about as gruesome as that story with that guy eating that other guy's face off. I mean, I was really like, wow, you guys haven't seen shit, literally, yet in 3D.
And
so,
it's only a matter of time before, you know, just like Idiocracy, there's just shit.
Yeah.
The movie.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
in 3D.
It would have been a far more appropriate title than this Piranha 3DD, which I'm going to let you know right now, Cyrus. I coined that term, by the way, which Miramax or Dimension, whoever the fuck's putting this out, you guys owe me a check, because I remember me and Corey were talking about this. And I mentioned I saw that first Piranha movie, the remake, in 3DD.
Yeah.
And I guess somebody from the studio heard that, thought it was a work of just a work of genius on my part, and they decided to name the entire movie. Which, if you think about it, it's like, well, Piranha 3DD. Well, what about part 2? Was it? No, they didn't give a fuck. Just like you could tell that when they decided to make this movie, all they did was like, you know what? Let's just give them more of what we gave them in the last movie. And who's available right now? Is anyone available? And somebody said no. It's like, we'll find somebody. And they actually did, and I was
Tom Green isn't in this.
Yeah, I know. But man, I mean, this is one of those movies though that I had friends like call me up and tell me, "Hey, have you seen the new trailer for this Piranha 3DD? This looks like the most insane, like, tits and ass, like, gore fest of a film that I can't wait to see, that I'm dying. Like, this movie was made for you, co-host." And I'm like, I don't know. Let me hold that until I actually see the movie, because this past like few years, I've been noticing a lot of movies like this, especially like when they get advertised on something like Sci-Fi Network or something that Asylum puts out. It's like they always, in the commercials, they always give you something like, you know, wow, I want to see that because that looks so awful but so fun that how can I not see that? It's screaming, it's screaming for me that I'm their audience. And then when you see it, you're like, really?
Well,
that's all you're giving me?
I'll say this. Piranha 3DD puts its cards on the table immediately. Like, the last one was a bad movie that was trying to make an entertaining film out of it. So it's trying to be a good bad movie, where it's like, look, we know what people came here to see. We're going to give it to them, but we're also going to have a film that's not terribly constructed on the whole. You know, I mean, it's competently made. For 2, they said, who do we know that just makes the trashiest, most, like, extreme amounts of like terrible blood and gore and boobs movies? And they said, oh, well, that we can get. And they said, how about the guy who did those Feast movies, John Gallagher? And you know, from the outside you go, that's a great idea, because at least the first Feast, that nailed it.
The first Feast was great.
The second 2 though is unfortunately where this guy's head is.
It's
like, who cares about making anything in the movie make sense? Even the editing shots of one scene to the next one. Who cares? This is a guy who goes, fuck it, it's a bad movie. Who's going to give a shit?
Exactly.
And that's just like, well, why? How do you expect me to give a shit then?
I know, and it's shocking to me, because seeing Feast 1, I was like, wow, that was a fucking brutal movie. You know, the kills were just insane. I mean, the action. There's always something going on in that movie. But when he went and did 2 and 3, it made you just think, wow, okay, who is the real talent behind that first Feast movie? Because it's obviously not the director.
Yeah.
And with this, I mean, I thought 2 and 3 of Feast were fucking terrible.
Yeah.
This goes beyond that.
This is worse than those movies by a sizable stretch.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I will say this, I think I still enjoyed, which is a weird word to use, but enjoyed it more than I did the Chernobyl Diaries, because that movie was just boring. It's like, fucking, when is this going to be over? Jesus Christ. Piranha 3DD is never boring. It is a apex of badness in movies that is so consistently terrible in every way that you can fuck up a film and do bad things with it, and yet giving it a very hard R rating, that I found myself strangely kind of mesmerized by the whole thing.
Really? Okay,
yeah.
because I didn't, yeah.
I mean, in the way that some of the lesser Roger Corman films will make you sit there like and go, damn, this is just awful. Who the fuck thought any of this was a good idea? But at least it keeps moving.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is that this is one of those movies that needs a commentary by like the Mystery Science Theater 3000 guys.
Yeah,
it's begging that. But but the thing is, without it. It did bore the shit out of me because I mean, seeing the advertisements and hearing how this movie is promoted, it's like what, double the tits, double the gore, double the everything. I mean, well, the thing is that it's not that. It wasn't that for me because sitting there, I was like, wow, you know what? This reminds me of just a really fucking terrible slasher film. And when they started to introduce the characters and you started to seeing the stupid shit that they were putting those characters through. Like, I mean, there's a scene where there's like a chick who handcuffs her boyfriend to a table that's in their van while they're trying to screw. The van just starts to roll into a lake, I guess. And then the van starts getting filled up with water, and the guy's screaming, "Where the fuck is the key?" And this chick put the key right where her tit was in her bra.
Sure.
And he screamed, "Where the fuck is the key?" And she's like, "I don't know. It must have fell out of my bra while I was rolling around in this van." And she's like, "You just stay here, and I'm going to go scream for help on top of the van while the goddamn van is sinking." I'm just like,
that the van rolled down a not very big slope into the water, and for some reason, it's in the middle of the lake.
Yeah, it's in the middle of the lake out of nowhere. And you're just like, there's nobody around. This chick is screaming at the top of her head, "Somebody help!" While the guy's going, "You bitch! How could you?" I mean, but...
Well, I will say this, okay? Now, that is totally nonsensical. That whole scene, almost every major scene in here is like, why would anyone act like that? But I would argue that the film, while that's not funny, and none of the scenes are really particularly funny.
Oh, not at all.
It's clear what they're going for, a very different aesthetic than the first Piranha. They're going for more of a comedy, whereas the original Piranha was actually going for more of an actual horror film, like a B-horror. This is going for a B-horror comedy. And it shows that from the beginning. I mean, you've got fucking Gary Busey in your movie. You know, come on. You're going for total absurdist and like lots of dick jokes and butt jokes and poop jokes and stuff like that. I mean, that is the majority of what is in Piranha 3DD. And it's not good. There's only one funny point in the whole thing, and once again, it's so absurdly improbable that you have to have gotten over that to laugh at all. Involving, I forget her name, the secretary from 30 Rock. What is her name? Katrina Bowden, who's a very sexy girl, and I think the only woman in the movie not to get naked, once again. What is she, Mormon or something?
I have no idea. I mean, I was wondering, is anybody going to get naked in this goddamn movie? But
well, I don't know what movie you saw, because there was nothing but boobs in the movie I saw.
Well, okay, the movie I saw, there was about a 5-minute scene where, you know, they showed the pool. They're all the action you can tell is going to take place at a water park.
Yeah,
and it's all run by
David Koechner.
Yeah, David Koechner, and and he's phoning it in. I mean, he really was phoning it in,
totally.
And the thing is that they have just like this one shot where you see a bunch of girls running around dancing, just obviously topless. But then that's all you get. That's all you really get until the tail end of the movie.
Until the tail end. No, you're right there. I mean, there's lots of like near misses. There's like sex scenes where you don't actually see nudity and that sort
But there
of
were
thing.
no double D tits. That's the thing.
There
was only one girl, and it was at the very end of the movie that was running around with double D tits, and I was just like, all right, that's your whole campaign is to advertise these double D tits. I was like, are you not going to have some kind of action heroine running around fighting piranhas with double D breasts? I mean, it seems appropriate with this title.
Yeah.
Give me something, please. I mean, this is the worst false advertising you can ever do to me.
I see why you're disappointed now. Although there is a scene where a decapitated head gets booby slammed.
Oh, yeah.
And I see that made me laugh. I was like,
but it came in too late, though. That's the thing. The movie always the movie has no idea what it wants to be because it doesn't start off. I mean, yeah, sure. There's a fart joke at the beginning of the movie that involves Gary Busey. And when you're even when you're looking at that scene, it's like that makes no sense.
What
why
just
is this
happened?
Yeah, what just happened? And why is this supposed to be funny? And you know, why is Gary Busey even doing this?
Well,
you
because
know?
they could get him, and Gary doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
He just seemed lost. I mean, you kind of felt bad for him. It felt like somebody just threw him in a movie while he was completely drunk off his mind, and they gave him nothing to do. The whole scene just did not work at all. And all it was a fart joke where I'm like, you got a bunch of piranhas in the water. And there's like this. I guess it was a horse or what was it? It was like a horse or something.
It was a cow.
It was a cow. It was a cow that was submerged in water. But the piranhas
farting out piranha eggs.
It was farting out piranha eggs, and these piranhas swimming around, and the cow's not even eaten.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't get that.
Well, there was a lot of that in this movie. Like, there was a scene where you saw one of the characters who got attacked and killed by piranhas earlier lying under the water a good hours and hours after the fact, and only part of her face is missing. And there's piranhas all around her. It's like, guys, how do you think this whole piranha thing works?
Exactly. I know. It's like these things should be like, you know, they should be like the trash compactors of the, you know, of the lake or wherever they're hanging out, and you don't ever see them really do what they're supposed to be doing, which is tearing people apart. You never see it. They always do that dumb shit of like having the point of view of the piranha looking at legs.
Yeah.
And swimming right by them.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, you'll see you'll hear somebody go, "Ouch! Ooh, something just bit me!" And they're running out of the water, and everything's okay.
Well, there's a lot of gore in the end. I would say there
At the
definitely
very,
is. And
very
the last
end,
15 minutes, but you know, I mean, that's a big
The last
sizable
15
time,
minutes,
and you
right.
see a lot of dead and bloody people in that one. And it's not like Feast, where you're getting to see like arms ripping through people's midsections and pulling out their spines and that kind of thing. It's not like that at all. I mean, the gore is almost PG, really. PG-13.
I thought it was G-rated.
Whereas the you know, I mean, the boobies are what make this R, definitely, as well as some of the, you know, just the intent content. Like I said, there's a scene where a woman's vagina pumps out a piranha she didn't know was inside her and bites off another guy's dick, and you're like, okay, I am actually kind of glad that I saw that happen at least once in my life, but now I never have to see it again.
I guess if that's something you need to check off on your things to
That's
to
my
watch.
bucket list.
But the thing is that scene, that whole scene that took place, that was like a long scene involving two characters that they end up throwing away. All that happened just for that one lame joke. Because even when that dude gets attacked, I mean, he has to be the worst fucking actor I've ever seen. I mean, I've seen better acting on YouTube videos as compared to this guy. I mean, the whole audience, I mean, I was there with an audience who was there with the director. And obviously you could tell they wanted a big reaction out of that scene. And everyone just kind of seemed comatose during that scene. And I think and I know it was because of watching this actor pretend like something happened to his dick.
Yeah.
And he just didn't sell it. He didn't sell it at all. There was no laughs. There was no nothing. There were just kind of people looking around and like each other like, all right, was that it?
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing. I wasn't even laughing during it. I was kind of just staring in I can't believe they actually did this type of way. But that in and of itself entertained me in a weird sort of way. I don't know how to describe it. It was like, I can't defend it as being good in any way. I mean,
I'm here to try to tell you it was fucking awful.
Let me just go real carefully. I cannot speak because this movie has destroyed parts of my brain.
It makes you
my
dumb as
frontal
shit,
lobe.
yeah.
That's what the piranhas do.
Yeah.
They destroy your
fucking
brain.
eat your brain, yeah.
But the story, such as it is, involves where Danielle Panabaker plays Maddie, who's a marine biology student, coming home to the summer to the water park she owns 49% of with her stepdad, played by David Ketchner, who is determined to turn it into an adult-themed water park with, like, you know, where there's a whole totally naked section. There's all sorts of little gimmicky stuff. He's got strippers for lifeguards, that sort of deal. And there she encounters her now a policeman ex-boyfriend, played by Chris Zelka, and Barry, who is this nerdy kid who always, played by Matt Bush, who always had a crush on her since high school. This is the triangle dynamic. You've also got her friends Ashley, Megan Tandy, and Shelby Katrina Bowden. And, you know, these guys are just kind of going through
they're fish food. That's all they are.
They're going through the stupidest things like that you could possibly do in the situation where you suspect there might be piranha around in the lake, while the movie just goes, look, there's just piranha here, okay?
Yeah.
It's like, at one point they got to bring back Christopher Lloyd.
That was so sad.
What happened is there's obviously an underwater lake, and they must have swum through that.
Marty, I'm in a time continuum because the same shit's happening all over again. Oh,
These piranha spent eons in underground lakes and rivers. So fish can become confused and try to enter man-made drainage systems.
And with him, I felt really bad because I'm like, wow, they're making you do the same exact thing that you did in the last movie. You're pretty much saying word for word the same lines of the last movie. Where he makes a comment. I wish I could remember it. Where he's like, "Oh man, if these piranha get out into that water park, this is gonna make the first movie look like shit." And you're like, all right, that's a pretty bold statement there, and I'm waiting for it because I'm already like an hour into the movie. But you see this scene with this guy where once again he displays how powerful these piranha are. Where you see a piranha go through a steel plate in his aquarium that doesn't make any sense at all to me.
I love that they're like, look, we've already seen that these things can jump way out of the water.
Yeah, they can destroy.
A top to this aquarium?
No, not at all. No, you've seen them destroy boards like walking boards to the lake. I mean, it made no goddamn sense. But this girl who is the hero of this movie, she sees this piranha go through a steel plate. What does she decide to do right after? I'm gonna check all the water little gates to make sure none of this water from this lake is going to go into it's going to like find its way into our water park. Right. So she goes in a bathing suit to go check. Yeah. And I'm like,
seriously?
Yeah. Like, that there are schools of piranha out there looking to fucking
and even where she goes
eat
down
your
there,
ass.
she's like, yep, gate's still intact. She's like, you just saw the thing where they eat the metal.
I know. Yeah. And I'm like,
what the fuck is the point?
And that's when I'm like, you know what? I am fucking done with this movie. I'm like, if a movie, I don't even care if you're playing it for stupid laughs. If you can't even if none of the characters, especially the two guys who she's with, can't say, hey, you know what? This is really fucking stupid. We can hire a team of guys. Number one, how come we're not calling the military right now? That we know what happened to the last town, that got fucking eaten up. Nobody in this movie gave a shit because the script forgot to have these people care about something.
See, I don't think it forgot. I think it just didn't care. And there is a difference in that, to be sure. Like, just poor screenwriting from a movie that's trying to make it seem like these things are scary and possible is where you just forgot. You're like, you know what? Really fuck those guys. Mm-hmm. But a movie like this where it's like, look, this is supposed to be terrible and we're trying to up it to the ultimate level of terrible while giving you all the old school, hey, you get boobs, you get blood and all that. Who gives a shit if any of this actually makes sense? That can only work if you're also hysterically funny. And the movie is never hysterically funny. No. I mean, even with David Hasselhoff, who appears towards the end playing David Hasselhoff, who gets a couple moments that made me chuckle, know.
I will give you that.
But he's playing the same role, it's the same type of David Hasselhoff as David Hasselhoff that he played in SpongeBob SquarePants. It's like almost that exact same thing.
I never saw that movie.
A little more lecherous.
Oh, okay. I miss SpongeBob because I'm a grown-ass robot.
It's like, look at this. It's the guy from Baywatch. Let's throw in lots of Baywatch jokes.
And I'm telling you, this guy must have been trying to fuck David Hasselhoff because, once he enters the movie, he is in the movie. I mean, he's a full-on character.
He is.
Even though he's just playing a parody of himself. Yeah. I mean, it's like, all right, the first time around was funny. The first 10 minutes of him hanging out in his hotel room with these hot chicks, that's funny. But afterwards, they keep going and keep going and keep going to where, man, you are running every decent thing in this movie into the ground.
Very true. Very true. I wish I could disagree with you on that, but it's just. They overuse it. They do. They totally overplay their hand on that joke. They play it way too hard because he is the dominant thing in the last, 15 minutes of the movie or so. You're like, enough. Yeah. Enough David Hasselhoff. He was a one-off joke, but you want to just keep playing the same joke over and over again.
And they don't know when to stop.
It's like, and because at that point, they're like, oh, fuck the plot. I mean, seriously.
They really do.
A scene where a piranha is shoved up a guy's ass and the other guy's got to pluck it out, then he's got shit all over his ass. I mean, you're like, this is not high-end filmmaking, folks.
No. It's not even low-end.
And in that sense, I'm going to go, I didn't hate this movie. I went into it expecting it to be terrible, thanks to you and everyone else I know, and went, that was terrible, but I was oddly fascinated by it. It was like a how-to guide on how not to make one of these, but at least it wasn't dull to me. And I am going to come around to, believe it or not, a low rental, because I think this is the sort of movie that if you really like just the worst movies to laugh at, this is one of the worst movies that you can laugh at. Not with, but at.
Oh man, well I wish I could. I was really trying, but I mean, like that last 15 minutes where the carnage takes place, the scene that's supposed to outdo the first movie, it's like somebody like went to the set of after the first Piranha movie, the first remake. They swept up all the piranha and all the bodies that were just laying around on that set, and all they did was fill it up with a bucket of blood and throw it right at the screen. And that is it. That is it. I mean, everything at that last 15, 20 minutes looked like leftovers. Even they found the leftovers of fucking Ving Rhames to throw in there to do a really stupid joke where I'm like, wow, okay, you guys are using a shotgun leg from Planet Terror. I mean, that's where your ideas are going to. Where okay, now you really literally are throwing all this shit at the screen, hoping something will stick.
Not to mention, what is a shotgun going to do to a bunch of stuff under the water like that?
Yeah, nothing.
Not a lot.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah. I mean, when you watch it in action, all you see is exploding water. You don't see any blood or fish. And I'm just like, man, really? You guys couldn't even afford to throw you forgot to put the fucking blood in the water.
And
okay.
Fucking Paul Scheer wheeling him around everywhere with his big old gap tooth. Trying to be funny as hard as
he looked more like a piranha than those fucking piranhas did, which looked like fucking just plastic toys. But I'm sorry, man, this movie pissed me off because this movie was advertised to me as the ultimate party gore fest. And it wasn't. It's like going into a goddamn party and all you see are empty booze bottles. You see a fucking bag of chips and all that's left are the crumbs. And you're looking around and you realize, wow, all your cool friends that showed up left because they realized how shitty the fucking party was. And yeah, I mean, it was that fucking bad. I mean, it's like the movie wants to advertise itself as a fucking hot chick with big double D breasts that's gonna fucking, that's just gonna bathe herself in blood.
It doesn't want to. That's literally how it advertised.
Yeah, that's how it advertises. But once she starts taking off that fucking bra, and then those fucking, then she takes off her stuffed bra, and then the rest of her fucking body, all that's there is a fucking stumpy Ving Rhames.
It's like, I don't want that. Sucker.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you, sucker. It's I'm gonna get you, sucker. Where you're like, what? So yeah, I'm sorry, man. I have to tell everyone, especially the filmmaker, fuck you and your goddamn fish movie, all right? Because that movie was just one fucking stuffed bra bullshit fest of a movie that, I mean, I wish I never have to see again because, man, that was like, I had expectations. And when you're advertising a movie like the way those guys did, you better fucking bring the party. Because if you're not, I'm not fucking going no more, alright? I'm tired of this shit. It's like your dad filming a Piranha movie. That's pretty much the equivalent. And when you look at the director, you're like, oh wow, it is somebody's dad who filmed Piranha.
So you liked it then?
No, fuck this movie. I gave this movie a big fuck you in the face. Yeah, I'm sorry, but goldfish are more terrifying than this.
Hold on a second. Let me make this call. Leon, cancel John Gulager as a guest on Leon.
Oh, sorry.
Just when you thought it was safe.
People are dying. Do something.
To put your 3D glasses back on.
First of all, I'm not a lifeguard. Never was. Secondly, that is what natural selection's all about.
It's double the action.
Something's wrong with me.
What did you do to me?
Double the terror. And double the D's.
Bring me my legs.
Piranha 3 Double D.